Let me tell y'all something about this. And this is just based on what I've learned in my experience. When you go to look for these agencies, and I don't care how big or small they are, they all have on their website, click here to submit. And they'll ask you your name, some of your other personal stuff, like how tall are you, your height, weight, all that good stuff. You know, some of them will want your measurements on top of that. So you got to know all that stuff. You know, they'll want your measurements. And every single one of them, to my knowledge that I've experienced, they all say, okay, go ahead and hit this submit button. You know, give us at least 2 weeks. At least 2 weeks before you hear yay or nay. And then some of them will say, some say it takes longer than that. Some of them will say, if you don't hear after 2 weeks, we didn't accept you. So don't bother submitting again for a little while, that kind of thing. But most of them, they tell you right up front, you ain't going to hear from us anytime soon. So just carry on. Yeah. So I went and looked back at this particular agent and my submission, because I keep all of the little confirmations, emails and stuff that come in from these things when you hit submit. Some of them would, after you get the confirmation email, you know, within minutes of you hitting submit, inside of that confirmation email, they want you to do one more step, you know, like upload a selfie, you know, and it has to be a selfie like right now. They don't want some you all filtered up shit. They don't want none of that. They usually specify, we want a selfie from right now. Like
they want to see the timestamp.
Yeah, because they're going to look at all that, you know. So some of them will have that additional step. And then, or they'll just say, hey, this is a confirmation that it was sent. We'll get back to you in however long it's going to take. Don't call us, we'll call you, you know. So you sit around and you wait. And I looked at the people that I just signed with. It was 4 weeks plus. It was over 4 weeks when I submitted it versus when I actually got the response that, you might.
See, yeah, you might
be
somebody that we're looking to
make the cut. So now let's schedule a time to have you do this and that or whatever. So give us another 2 weeks. That's another 2 weeks of send this over, send that over, blah, blah, blah. Then, okay. All right. So now let's set up a virtual interview with you. So yeah, that was roughly 6 weeks of a process there. And people that are interested in this stuff, I'm going to just tell you straight up, expect that. I don't care how good looking you are or how bad looking you are or how skinny, how tall, or they got thousands of people doing exactly what you're doing. And you know, thousands of people trying to put their name out there.
And being ready and available when they ask, I think, has a lot to do with it too.
Yeah, there's that. But all I'm just saying is, I know how this generation or this time in our society, people want this instant gratification on everything. Oh. You know, even down to, I want to start a YouTube channel. So, you know, I want to start a TikTok and
have it done tomorrow.
Do you not realize that millions of people are having that exact same thought and trying the exact same thing? And, you know, it's you're going to have to wait. And with this modeling agent and stuff, it's definitely a waiting process. You know, and I don't care if your cousin told you you'd be great on the runway. We got to wait.
You got to wait till they tell you.
Yeah. And then once you get signed, that's still another process because you're an independent contractor. You're not going to be an employee, if you will. You know, so you're not going to get a W-2 at the end of the year. You are still a hired gun. This is still you being self-employed and running your own personal business kind of thing. So there's a process with that and reading contracts and all that good stuff. And I am grateful that this agency, when they sent me the contract over, the first thing they said is read it over. Read it over.
Ain't that what they supposed to say?
We give you X amount of time to read it over, so there's no rush. You know, we're going to give you X amount of time to read it over and send us questions if you had it, you know. So I'm like, cool. It wasn't like 2 days either. So I was like, cool. Read it over. Pardon, got a cough. And burp. Cough and burp. So they're like, read it over. What are you laughing at over there?
Because you said, I'm sorry, I got a cough. And then you go, like, do you know what a cough is or what a burp is? Because that is not what you
I had the cough and burp. Apparently I had the burp too, but I felt the cough. I felt the cough. Damn. I swear we could never stay on topic on anything.
But that's I'm glad you hit the button.
So Cinder Fratinum says cough burp. Yep, that is correct. So yeah, they sent the contract over and I had, I think, roughly 6 questions. And I appreciate that because I know at least on 1 or 2 of them I was like, you shitting me? You know, come on now. What's up with this? And they were like, yeah, the reason why XYZ is because of ABC. You know, that's the protocol. And when they explain it, it's like, okay, it all makes sense. Mm-mm. You know, it's all, and it is all for not only their protection, but my protection too, and stuff like that. So yeah, man, when you get these things, read your daggum contracts. You know, and not just as a signing up with an agent, but even when it comes to just being a creative artist, I've had contractual agreements with people. You know, you want to schedule me for an event shoot? Okay, these are the particulars. I'm going to be there from this time to that time. I'm going to take at least this many pictures, no less. Maybe more is fine, but definitely no less. I'm going to provide them to you by such and such date. That kind of thing. And if you have all of that stuff written out and you can agree to it and the client agree to it, everything is protected. Because when an argument comes up, you can pull up said contract and protect yourself. I've only had to do that once where I had to protect myself. Mm-hmm. You know, but it's nice to have that stuff. And as creators, we're not lawyers, but we can still just write something down and get some signatures on it. Mm-hmm. Instead of word of mouth in it of, okay, I'll be there on Friday for the 8:00 show, but I'll get there at 6. If you show up at 5:30, that might be a problem for somebody. You know, at least put in there, I may be a little bit early. Mm-hmm. You know, it's all of that stuff matters, you know, so that's all I'm saying.